All right, for this explainer, we're not just going to analyze a concept. We're going to stage it. Think of it like a four-act play between two massive opposing forces. A shadow that desperately needs things to stay the same, and a spirit that has no choice but to change.
So let's set the stage. On one side, you have the spirit of life itself, of growth, of becoming. And on the other, we have a figure we'll call the Sentinel of Stasis. This is our Faustbook Übermensch. Now, this isn't a Superman of progress. This is a Superman of rigid, absolute control. And get this, he doesn't see himself as the bad guy. No, he thinks he's a necessary anchor against the chaos of life.
And there's his voice. You can just feel it, right? It's cold, it's intellectual, and it's 100% convinced that it's right. He truly believes he's saving some fundamental truth from being washed away by the relentless and what he sees as reckless tide of life.
And so our play begins. Act 1. The Übermensch steps into the light and reveals his goal. And it's not simple destruction. Oh no. It's something way more insidious than that. It's possession.
Here's the core of his entire philosophy: static control. See, the Übermensch believes that to truly own a moment, to make it perfectly ordered, you have to kill it. You have to take a vibrant, flowing, living experience and turn it into a dead, permanent memory, something you can hold and catalog and control forever.
And this is exactly how he does it. It's kind of brilliant, in a terrifying way. He sees life, this gold of a story, dancing with infinite possibility in a mirror. But he can't just let it be. He has to own it. So he shatters the glass, grabs the reflection, and in that act of possession, turns all that infinite potential into the lead of mortality, a heavy, finite, and ultimately lifeless statue.
Okay, on to Act 2. This is where his strategy gets even more clever. Now that he's trapped the spirit, he changes his whole approach. He takes off the dark, menacing mask and puts on a kind, benevolent one. He becomes the pale redeemer, here to tempt his new captive.
He starts preaching what he calls the gospel of gravity. He takes all the heavy stuff, your past, your regrets, your traditions, and he completely reframes it. You know that feeling of, well, this is just how I am. He weaponizes that. He whispers that this weight isn't a burden holding you back. No, it's protective armor. It's a shield that keeps you safe from the scary, chaotic world out there.
And this is the sales pitch. It's so tempting, isn't it? He offers you a gilded cage, a sanctuary where you'll be perfectly safe. It's the appeal of that steady job you don't really love, the routine that keeps you from chasing a real dream. He promises to freeze your very atoms into a state of eternal, undisturbed truth. A life with no risk, no change, and no pain. The only price? Your freedom.
But you know there's always another cost. In Act 3, the whole tone shifts. It gets dark. The spirit, locked away in its sanctuary, is starting to feel the true deep cold of this so-called protection.
The Übermensch, now playing the part of a corrupted architect, unleashes his ultimate weapon, the breath of the void. This isn't just a force that stops motion. It's a freezing gale that literally siphons the warmth out of anything that moves, enforcing his perfect, static, and lifeless order.
And here's the inevitable result. It's a law of nature, really. The architect thinks he's won by trapping the brilliance of the stars inside a lead box. But light that can't shine, light that can't move and shift and change, it dies. That's spiritual entropy. The vibrant energy just fades away, turning into dust. And the spirit starts to feel its own light going out.
This brings us to the climax, the big turning point of our whole drama in Act 4. Locked in the cold and the dark, the spirit has this incredible, world-changing realization.
What if this cage, this captor, what if he's not an external monster at all? The spirit realizes that the Übermensch is what you'd call an internal atavism, a deep, ancient part of itself. He is the personification of its own fear of the dark, its own fear of the void. He's that little voice in your head that says, don't try that, you might fail. He's safety over freedom.
And as soon as the spirit understands that, the path to freedom is suddenly crystal clear. You don't fight a fear like that, it's a part of you. The Übermensch wants a serious, heavy, brutal war. So the spirit does the one thing he can't comprehend. It rejects his seriousness entirely. It chooses a Dionysian rupture, a wild, joyful, life-affirming dance that breaks every single one of his rules.
And this is what it's escaping from. This feeling. The spirit of gravity. That incredible weight of the past, of expectations. That feeling of being stuck in the mud of the herd.
completely unable to move, unable to fly. To this, the lightness of a creator. By choosing to literally dance upon the grave of all that heavy seriousness, by laughing in the face of the void, the weight just vanishes. The spirit remembers what it really is, not something to be contained, but something that creates. And so the spirit is free, the dance worked. But what about the shadow? What about the Redeemer? Well, for our finale, we're going to hear from him one last time. He wasn't destroyed, he was integrated. Listen, this is his voice, now speaking from within the spirit.
My logic was perfect. It was cold, clear, absolute. I offered permanence, safety, an end to the pointless storm of becoming. My defeat, it wasn't a failure of my reason. It was an absorption. My perfect crystalline logic was tainted, corrupted by the messy, chaotic, warm, and deeply flawed humanity of my rival. You see, I wasn't slain, I was integrated, a perfect tragedy of order being swallowed by reckless freedom.
And so I turn my philosophy to you. Think about that weight you carry in your own soul, your history, your habits, your regrets. I offered it to you as an anchor, a point of stability in a mad world. My rival saw it as a burden and chose to dance away from it. So the final question, the only one that really matters, is for you. Is that weight in your soul a burden to be thrown off, or an anchor you can't live without?